What's up, everybody? So we have a 2005 Kawasaki KFX400. Basically, what's happening is we cleaned the carb, but we still have some jetting that's clogged. And basically, at the shop, it was starting, but now it's not starting just from the original press of the button, nor running. So when you hit the gas, it dies. We're going to check out the float, and I'm going to show you guys how to take the carb out, clean it, and then we're going to get this thing running. Stay tuned. Okay, so on the back of the bike, first thing you're gonna do, flip this switch. This allows the seat to come up. So grab this, pop the seat off. That's first step. After that, take the seat off, and we'll start with the front fairings. All right, so get yourself a pick and a flathead. It's gonna come in handy. And then you're going to take these rivets out. So there's two here. Use a flathead, pry it up. And once the head is up, you pry it all the way out. Some of these are a pain. One and two. Number two, put those to the side so you don't lose them. Take your pick, press the center of these rivets out. So press the center in. One, two, and these just grab with your fingernail if you have one, or a screwdriver, pop it out. Okay, now to the front. Once you've been doing this shit. Okay, on the top fairing, so this black one, there's gonna be two more of those rivets with the centerpiece. Press it in, take it out. Don't do that. Keep the screwdriver in your hand. Okay. And the other one on the other side as well. This one doesn't have it, but good to go. This comes up, or actually, there are Phillips on the bottom of this as well. So I'll show you guys. After you take all these ones off the top, we're gonna move to the bottom, but everything is under the fairing. So let me show you that. In the front, behind the shock, or basically in front of the shock, depends how you're looking at it, there's a Phillips here. This connects the front black piece as well, and the orange piece here. So there's one on this side, one on that side. Just take a Phillips and get those off. I use a longer one, go through the suspension, and it's literally easy as that. One, and then do the other side, and I'll show you the rest. You will need a 10mm socket, and that should be it. Okay, once you get those Phillips out, this piece literally pulls up and out, easy as that. Nothing crazy. Now, get a 10mm socket or wrench. I would suggest a socket. And you're gonna take this bolt out, and on the other side as well. And then there's some rivets too that are here. So you need to take these rivets out and the 10mm. Okay, 10mm. Like I said, there's one on the other side, same thing. And then also the rivet here. So get this out. And it is the same style. Middle, press in. Sometimes they're a pain, you gotta hold it from the inside. Press in, don't stab yourself. You can actually use the other side to press it. It's way easier. And then take that out. Do the other side, and I will show you how to get this whole thing off. Okay, unscrew your fuel cap. And bring that up. Just let it rest. So to get the next piece out, you're gonna pull back on the orange sides a little bit, backwards towards the bike, and then out, and you'll see the tabs kind of disconnect. So this will slide backwards, both sides, and then come off. So go ahead and do that. Try not to break those tabs. They are fragile. And I'll show you how to get the orange sides off after that. We're almost there. We're basically to the fuel tank. But yeah, once you get this off, we'll be able to take these off too. Okay, so once that black piece is out, This basically just lifts up off of each other. So again, more tabs. Just pull it back, push this forward, comes up, good to go. These are individual pieces. Take both sides off, get to the tank, and take out your 10mm again. All right, so on the tank, to get this off, you're gonna have two 10mm. So these just come off. That unmounts the tank. But when you take the tank off, you have the petcock, the fuel line, which goes to the carb. So you're gonna disconnect the fuel line from the tank, and then back here on the right side of the petcock, there's an air hose. So these bikes are a little weird when it comes to the carburetor. It uses air and vacuum to actually pull the fuel. So again, vacuum line and the fuel hose and the 210s. So I'll show you that. Don't be afraid. There might be like some fuel coming out, but go ahead and tip the fuel tank up so it doesn't leak, and you'll be good. Okay, on these, I like to take needle noses, take the clamp off. Now, sometimes on the hoses, if they're old and brittle, you need to be careful. The best way to do that is to grab it up top where the nipple's at, clench down and go back and forth until you hear it break, and then pull it down at the same time. So I'm gonna get this tank up first before I take this off, but that's the best way to do it. Do not break the brake line, or you have to get a new hose. But yeah, let's go to the next part where we get the tank off, and then we'll tip her up. So okay, once the tank is up, again, pull back on the tank. There's these rubber grommets here. That's where the tank sits. Pull back. Once the petcock can clear the frame, push up. Then, take your needle out of this and go back and forth, hold the tank until it breaks. There's gonna be some fuel coming out. Plug it with your finger. Take the air hose off, and the tank will come straight up. Lift the tank and put it down like this so it does not leak. Wherever you have space, just lean it against something, you'll be good. We're almost to the carb. So for those who don't know what a carburetor looks like, this is your carb. It uses fuel and air mixture. It's not like injection, but yeah. So there's a lot of plugs, there's a lot of hoses, there's a lot of things going on. But obviously with this video, I'll show you what to unplug and what route to go. So yeah, let's get into the carb. So the first thing, disconnect this white connector here. And I'm trying to show you guys, we're on a lift, so it's a little awkward, but we'll be all right. And the second one is this wire here. Trace it down to this black connector. It's usually tucked back here, and disconnect that as well. So black connector, white connector, disconnect those first, and then we'll start doing the wires and cables. And I usually use a pick. So what I'll do is I'll hit the tab with the pick, and then I'll press the pick in to create the gap and pull with this side, this finger. It's usually way easier than anything else. So pick in to get underneath the tab and this, and then pull out your finger. Do the same thing with the white connector, and then we'll move on to the cables that need to come off, and there's some hoses and stuff on the bottom. There's also a mount for the choke and things like that, but yeah. Okay, so after you have the white connector disconnected, again, use a pick. There's a big air hose here. This is just held on by a small clamp. You can honestly use your fingers and then twist it, pull it off. So that one's pretty easy. You can tuck it back in. Just make sure that you don't lose the clamp, and trying to get some of this out of the way here. So now you're gonna see two clamps around the carburetor. There's one on the back side and there's one on the front side. Those are both Phillips. So all you're gonna do is loosen them. You don't take them all the way out. Just loosen them. That way you can move the carburetor around. And there's also two 10 millimeters on the bottom, which I will zoom in after, but just to give you a general spot, it's right there. Two 10s that connect down to the engine, and that holds the choke cable. So after those, I think we only have a few more things, but we're basically ready to get the carb upside down. All we're doing is cleaning the actual float and the jets, so we don't have to take it all the way out. We're just gonna flip it upside down and then take the bottom piece off. If you're trying to get it all the way out, you are gonna have to do your throttle cable as well, and your choke cable, but that's not too bad. So just to give you a reference, you can disconnect them from up here first, and that'll give you that to get them off. Okay, let's do this so they know that. Okay, one back here. Loosen it, don't get them all the way out. It's a pain in the ass to get them back in, and one down here. Again, it's just a standard Phillips. Don't strip these, it's a pain in the ass. Once you do that, you can kind of move this around a little bit better, but I take this back part off just with your hand. Okay, sorry for the compressor in the shop, but what you do is you pull this back. After this clamp is loose, the one that I showed you, you just pull it back, and then you can finesse the carb to come out a little bit, and you move it in a way where you can pull up. So all these cables are going to be in the way, but once you get it, pull up a little bit. There's still some stuff we got to disconnect, but generally speaking, move it up till it gets fucked, and then you're good to go. So just like that. Now, this piece here, it's a 17 millimeter. You just use a wrench, you can't use a socket. So that just has a big nut on it, basically, 17 mil on that. And then down on the bottom, which is what I was telling you guys, there's two 10 millimeter bolts that are connected to the engine, and they are right under the sprocket cover, or right above it, sorry, right above the sprocket cover. So there's two 10 mils back there that holds the choke, and I'm gonna try and get you a view where you can see the choke coming off, because you do have to disconnect it like a throttle cable. But yeah, let me get the 10 mils off first, and I'll show you how to disconnect that. Okay, again, behind these wires, the two 10 millimeters here. It's kind of a pain to get to, but once you have them, you're good to go. So crack those loose. And there's one in the back as well. Okay. Okay, so once you have those two 10 mils over here out, you can play with this. To get this out, you push this back, bring the cable around to that hole, the little gap, hit the gap, and then pull up. So I'm trying to do this at a weird angle here, but you hit the gap and then pull up on the cable. If you can't get it that way, what you can do is take something and like kind of wedge this round piece, because it's coming out of a hole that's on the bottom and also the top. Sometimes these get a little bent, so I try to go back and forth until it pops out. So back and forth, and that usually helps it. And that's just your choke cable. So once you get that out, just push it back, or you could pull it all the way up and out of the way. It's probably a better idea. And then we're going to get the carb off of this boot here, because it's stuck on the boot. And essentially what we're going to try to do is tip it upside down. This hose as well fell off, so I didn't get to show you guys. This hose just goes on the bottom of the carb. It's just a breather. So if it falls off, don't worry, that's where it goes, right next to the actual idle adjuster. But you can pull it off for now, put it to the side. Okay, so after you get that breather hose off, whatever you're doing, all you're gonna do is go side to side, up and down, until you get this carburetor up. Once it's up, then you know you're good to go. This has a lot of fuel in it, so if it does that, that's okay. It can leak on things, just try not to get it on too much plastic. If it does, let it air out, because it can brittle things up, but it's not gonna do anything crazy. Just get the hoses out of the way. Like I said, if you're trying to get this whole carb out, disconnect this. It's a 17 millimeter. You use a wrench over and over, just comes out. Then you're gonna need this as well. This comes up into this with 3 screws, and there's Allens in here, but you can disconnect it from here. So you can unscrew this and then take these off, and there's 2 Allen bolts that sit in there, but that's a little deeper than what we're getting into. We are just cleaning the float and the jets. On every carburetor, you'll see there's a black top and a silver bottom. So this is where the jets will be. There's your air-fuel ratio there, and then you'll have the ones underneath the cup here. So it's literally 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll just come straight up. We do have to take this off as well so that we can move that out of the way. So take this Phillips off, and then all 4 of these. Be very, very careful when you are removing these bolts, because they are small and they can definitely go into the engine or anywhere. So be very careful while you're taking these ones off. Okay, so before we get to the whole carb, once you have it up, take some shop rags or anything you have, paper towels, whatever, it doesn't matter. Shove it in to the engine right here so you can pull it back out. If you drop a bolt or anything down there, you are screwed. Those are where your valves are. So make sure to put a paper towel there, because if you drop anything, again, I mean, it could come out, you can get it out, but it's not going to be easy. You have to use a magnet, and it can get stuck or go in the engine if the valve's up. So do not drop anything in there. Make sure there's a towel, and you are good to go. You don't need to do it with the other side, with the actual hose that comes down, but just on that engine side. So do that as a safety measure, because if you do drop something in there, again, you will be screwed. And if you drop something and that paper towel's there, you're gonna thank me later. So, yep. Okay, so idle adjuster screw. This one is larger than the other ones, in case you forget which one's which. Try to put these in a spot, and then grab that. Again, this one's larger. The tip is larger than these 4, so you'll know which one's which. So grab that. I usually put them in my pocket, and then you have 4 here. 1, 2. These will strip a lot on carburetors if they're old. If your strips, take some pliers or something to grab them and twist them. It's a pain in the ass, but usually if you buy a carb rebuild kit, they come with it. Again, if they are stripped and it's not coming out, you can't really shock these bolts too well like you can other ones. Shocking is just essentially when you put something there and you hit you know, something with a hammer up top, it shocks the bolt, makes it come loose. But yeah, use pliers. So once all 4 of these are out, you're gonna want 2 hands. Pull it up gently. So in your rebuild kits, if you're replacing everything, it's gonna come with this. This is the float. So we know, since this is not starting every time, that this probably has a clog down there. And to do that, you got to take off this screw and some other ones. You have your air and fuel, and then you have your jets. So while we're here, we're literally going to clean everything, because we don't want to run into this issue where we have to take the carb out again and do that. So we're going to take this screw off to get the float out, clean the float, clean the bowl down low, and then we're going to take these 3 main jets out and clean those as well. We use a sonic cleaner here. You can use brake cleaner, everything like that, and you know, whatever your preference is. But when we take these out, we're gonna blow them out with high pressured air as well. So not just brake cleaner, you need air, or you can actually take these, put them up to your mouth and blow into them as well. Sometimes it works, but it's not very effective. So yeah, let me get this to the table and I'll show you guys how we, if not, you're fine. Put that to the side. That's what that one looks like. This one will look a little different. Okay. The other thing you can do is look on to the jet and see the numbers. These numbers are specific to the carb. So if somebody's changed those and they're different, you're gonna have an issue as well. The last one you're gonna do is in here. Stick the flathead in there and then bring that out. This whole piece will come up. I'm gonna put these to the side so I don't lose them. Come back, and again, this comes up with that. Just be very careful. And it'll stick in there like that. So what happens is these get clogged. These are your jets. So inside here you have a lot of pinholes. You can usually hold them up to the air. See if you can see sunlight through the hole. If you can't, it's clogged really bad. But usually there's some debris and stuff in there. So put all these to the side. And let's see, 1, 2, 3. We gotta take off the float. I'm gonna use this to be safe, so we don't want to strip that shit. So to get the float out, use the right Phillips head. Some of these will be stuck. So if it is, this one's starting to come out. I usually use power tools on these because they will strip. That one didn't strip, obviously, because I used the power tool. And then you have the pin that comes out. So this pin will come out. And then you can bring the float up. Now, on the float, back here you have like a little metal piece that sits on there. So you're gonna come push that back and bring it up, and you'll have that piece. Be very careful, put that somewhere where you're not going to lose it or break it. And then this right here is important to clean as well. So again, Phillips, take this screw out. This is where a lot of debris gets stuck in here. So take the screw out, take this out, and clean that. If you want to clean this, you can too. I think it's a 10 mil. I'm going to take that out as well. And then this is the adjustment. So depending on where you're at, you would have to do a certain amount of turns out or in. If you don't know, look up your manual. There's usually elevation things on there, but yeah, go ahead and prop this up. All you do is just use a little pick or a flathead. This will come up as well. Don't touch this screw unless you know what you're doing, and that's generally how we do that. So let's get to the cleaning. So this is what it looks like. The filter fell off. Sometimes they get stuck in there. So we know that one was clogged because it was literally stuck. I'm gonna get it for you. Hold on. So you can see on the filter, if you look at it from this way, the way I'm looking at it, you can see a lot of holes, and then there's a bunch that you can't see through, which means there's a bunch of stuff in there as well. So what's happening is this thing is getting clogged, and we didn't take this out the first time, but yeah, so the filter, this piece actually too needs to be cleaned and pressured out. So without doing that, you're going to run into some major lack of fuel, and then the bucket came off, which is no big deal on this thing. But I'm going to take this off as well and clean that too. Basically, while we're here, we're just going to clean everything. Okay. Once you have that, let's see. Oh, no, it's an 8 mil. Sorry, not a 10. It's an 8. Just get it loose and then bring it out with your finger. It's usually best to take the whole carb out, but you do want to clean this as well. There's a lot of holes in there. As you can see, it's the same thing. So all we're doing is taking all of these out and cleaning them, and then I'm going to readjust this to make sure this is adjusted correctly as well. So this has the bucket on it. This comes out. We have the filter down there below the the float, and then typically what I'll do is I'll take the whole carb and clean it, but I think we're gonna be good by just doing these. So we should be good. If you have to rebuild it, the needle and everything will come with it. You rebuild the needle, all the gaskets, all of it. So yeah, now we're gonna throw it in the sonic cleaner, get this thing ready to run. Okay, so that's how you get the carb out. Also the jets, the float, everything like that. Again, don't mess with this unless you know what you're doing. If you're trying to get it all the way out, like I said, 17 mil over here, and then you do have to mess with this up here to get that out too. So that's how you take the whole carb out, but we're just cleaning the jets. We don't have to do any of that. So I'm gonna do a whole cleaning video on jets, floats, and everything like that in a separate video. I feel like that can justify itself within the process, like how we do it here at the shop, what we use, and things like that. But if you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to let me know. I tried to go over everything, but if there's something I missed or you just have a general question on, feel free to comment, and I'll do my best to answer for you guys. That being said, we are out. Take care and good luck.